So I recently posted a video regarding how you really need to build relationships with people before you can get into like really difficult conversations. Some of them are forced or some, all of that stuff. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about really trying to help folks understand a way of thinking or a different perspective on something. And oh man, I'm telling you, I had a really good example of that one really lately. This one was a lot different than dealing with a star athlete student. This one actually prompted me to not say something. And it's like, look, I know that there's a lot of different ways to approach things. This is the way I did it. This is the way I saw it. And so one of the coaches was giving a presentation, right? He was giving a presentation on this book. It actually is an amazing book. I really like the book. It's from Urban Meyer. It's called Above the Line. And it's about a way of thinking about how to get better and how to improve as a person so that you can, ultimately in this book, it was about becoming a better football player, a better football team, and a better coach and things like that, right? And so he was giving this lecture to the students about how there's certain players in the NFL who have thrown away their careers because of, they call it below the line thinking, right? It's like there's above the line thinking, which is a way of thinking, a way to get better, a way to stay committed, a way to, dedicate yourself to your craft, to your skill, and whatnot. While there's below the line thinking, which is the complete opposite, right? It's like you have this amazing ability, these amazing talents, and yet you choose to squander them, right? It's like you choose to make bad decisions and squander those God-given genetic abilities and whatnot, right? And so the coach is going in and talking about how that there's NFL players who have given up their careers because they made bad decisions, they squandered their talent, and like Manzel and Kapernick. Pause. In my head, I'm like, well, just in case you don't know who Manzel and Kaepernick are. Hopefully you actually know who Kaepernick is. He's a social activist. He's a guy who, if you don't know anything about him, he's a guy that started the whole kneeling thing. Well, I shouldn't say started it, but he's the most known for kneeling during the national anthem. And for his particular case, he's protesting, making protests along the Black Lives Matter lines and things like that, right? While Johnny Manziel is a party guy. Like, please understand, it's like I understand is that abuse is, drug abuse is a big deal. I'm not saying that it's not. What I'm saying is that Johnny Manziel throwing away his career doing drugs, I know, is a very different thing than Colin Kaepernick jeopardizing the future of his career by making a social stand, right? By becoming a social activist. And regardless of what you believe on that, right? That's you can think of him as throwing away his talent also, but at the same time, you have to appreciate the difference between these two players, right? There's like one dude, party dude, other dude, social activist, or at least trying to raise awareness about stuff, right? And so for my coach to put those two players in the same sentence regarding bad behavior and whatnot, man, I'm telling you, it took everything in my power because I don't know this guy very well. I don't know him very well. And quite honestly, he's my boss. I'm not going to say it any different. It's just very real for me is that not only do I not know him, he's also my boss. And so I'm thinking to myself, and I'm thinking about the students. I'm thinking about if he was anybody else in any other situation, I would have had my hand raised like, did you really mean to put those two people together in the same sentence? Because, bro, I'm not really feeling that. Like, for real. It's like I'm not feeling that. And, I'm wondering about, the psyche of the young black people. Well, honestly, if anybody in the audience of the students who cared about Black Lives Matter or about just lives mattering in this space and black issues and whatnot. And so I was wondering, and I'm worried about that. And like I said, I'm going to let you know, it took everything in my power to not say anything in that space because quite honestly, I didn't have enough of a relationship with them to do what I wanted to do in any way that would have been constructive, right? Not only that, but that wasn't the time or the place, really. Honestly, right, in front of the students, in front of like 50 plus students and whatnot, me kind of going at them like that, there was nothing that was going to be productive in that space. Honestly, I would have probably just got let go, and that would have been that. But I had to check, like I had to go and check with my peoples, right? And so there was another African American coach in the space. After the meeting, I like rolled up on him and was like, "Yo, did you hear that?" And right before I even finished my sentence, he was like, "Oh yeah, that comment about Kaepernick." He was like, "That wasn't cool." Right? And so I'm like, okay, so it wasn't just me, right? It was other people. You understood it. I definitely understood it. Man, I wonder if the students understood it. I talked to my son later on, who is definitely, a Black Lives Matter like advocate, right? And he was like, "Oh, was that the Kaepernick he was talking about?" Like he didn't. He was like, "I thought there was another Kaepernick because he couldn't have possibly been talking about him." And so my son got a little bit riled up, and I'm like having to calm him down. It's like, look, I will, it's like personally, this might, it might have been a one-shot deal. I may never get an opportunity to speak to him about this. I have a feeling I will, but straight up, it's like I don't have a relationship with this guy, and so if I come in at him, what possible good can happen in regards to us building a relationship with each other? Because something that I say to my students all the time is to say, it's like, look, the disagreement, when we find out that our opinions differ on a matter, that shouldn't shut a conversation down. That should actually start the conversation when we find out that we have differing opinions. And I honestly didn't know if we had that relationship yet. And so just saying, right? It's like, look, this is me, like my 47-year-old PhD holding Black Lives Matter advocate, self saying this. Wasn't the time or the place. And I'm at peace with that. I know that there's a lot of folks that'll, take a different opinion about it. Look, I feel like what I'm willing to do, and that my presence in that space, overall, over the long haul, is going to make the difference versus that one flash. And that's something that I learned in that moment. All right, take it easy, folks. Peace.